The first article is discussing about the consequence of the US questioning the this Pakistan on its lies and deceit in return for $33 billion which USA is giving over the last 15 years to Pakistan. And Donald Trump said that Pakistan is not mending its ways and it's not trying hard to this control the terror and all. For example, the Talibani and the Haqqani network fine working in with aid of Pakistan. So this is the context. Now, the article is saying that there will be signs of geopolitical whirlwind. Geopolitical whirlwind means there will be geopolitical storms throughout, especially in South Asia, because of these Donald Trump's announcement. Now let's see. It's saying that this particular move of Donald Trump, it can be a clever ploy. Fine, it can be a clever strategy of USA's administration, so that USA could have more leverage. Fine, so that USA could have more leverage in the region where seemingly it's losing ground, because it said that USA is somehow, especially after the Obama administration, okay, or Obama government, USA under Trump is losing its footholds, especially in South Asia, and China basically is trying to dominate. And what is interesting with China, that China is not trying to confront USA militarily, but it's trying to find the ways how to politically manage the outcomes of the Afghan war. Fine, and this retreat of USA, China is trying to utilize it politically by engaging with different countries. Now, see, till now, Islamabad, it has seen to have the best of both worlds. Till now, Pakistan is extracting best from both USA and China. See, because it's China's closest ally, fine, and it is maintaining a non-NATO ally of the US right from the period of Cold War. Yet another way, but there is one more thing. First thing is that it can be a clever strategy and it can put pressure on Pakistan. Fine, because till now Pakistan is basically utilizing or extracting benefits from both. So definitely Pakistan, in order to have the this support of US in South Asia region, may mend its ways, especially regarding terror and peace and security in the region. But there is another perspective to it, that this may be an empty threat of Trump. Fine, this may be an empty threat. So, how is Islamabad likely to deal with an apparently belligerent Trump administration? Fine. So the writer is questioning that how Pakistan would react to this, this belligerent Trump administration who is in favor of war and all sort of things. What will be the reaction of Pakistan? Now, the writer is saying that till now these Taliban and the Haqqani network, they were considered, as we all know, that they were considered Pakistan's proxies in Afghanistan. And right now, any tightening of the news around Taliban is definitely going to be, a strategic blunder. It can be a strategic blunder for Pakistan, and the implications of which would outlast the US commitment in Afghanistan. So the first thing is this, that if Pakistan, we are discussing the what can be the reaction of Pakistan. So the first is that if Pakistan tried to tighten the news around these Talibani network, then definitely it may have this strategic blunder, and it may have implications on the security, peace and security of the entire region. And second thing, the writer is saying that this particular move of US is ill timed. It's not according to the conditions, according to the present scenario, because right now there general elections are going to be later in this year in Pakistan, and already the civilian government in Pakistan is quite weak. Well, see, Pakistan has democracy per se, just for the name's sake, but the thing is that entire administration, everything is under the hands of military. So it's not like that it's ill. What I personally believe, that it's not like that it's ill time, because every time the civilian government is weak. However, the writer is saying that there are general elections as well later in this year. Now, and till now, Pakistan has responded verbally only. No such drastic changes has been seen in Pakistan's approach after Trump's announcement. So, is saying that uh, one thing is interesting here, that even if USA withhold this Pakistani aid fine, so it may not be exceptionally damaging for Pakistan, because since years this particular aid for Pakistan is being declined. I mean, it's declining with each year passing, so it's not going to have so immense impact on Pakistan. Next is, so this was like that it can be a clever ploy, it can be a clever strategy of Trump's administration, but there is another perspective to it, that it may, can be a setback to USA as well, because already the aid to Pakistan is being declining. So it's like that Pakistan may or may not react to this particular threat. Fine. Second thing is that sharper fault lines. What this sharper fault lines means, that uh, it's like, notwithstanding how Pakistan responds to US, the later strong arm policies have implications for South Asia. Fine. Okay, let's see. The thing is that Pakistan is running with the hare and hunt with the hounds. Means that Pakistan is trying to, be on the both sides, with USA as well and with China as well. And we also know that China and USA, they are basically heading towards, towards an another Cold War. Fine. They are kind of antagonists to each other. So, but Pakistan is trying to placate both these things, both these parties. So this particular declaration and announcement of Trump is going to have an impact on this particular thing as well, that how the Pakistan will react and how the fault lines are going to generate. Okay. And we are seeing that Pakistan has been steadily moving towards China from the American camp. Since Cold War, Pakistan is, one of the non-NATO member ally of USA, but in certain years, Pakistan is moving towards China, away from the American camp, and with this announcement, this particular shift will be quicker. There will be quicker shift towards the China camp. Second thing is that these as a direct consequence of these moves and counter moves, there would emerge a severe geopolitical competition in the region. What sort of geopolitical competition the writer is talking about? The geopolitical competition between two camps, the one led by China, Pakistan, Russia axis. Fine. And the another one can be this: US, India, and Japan. So a fault line can be seen, in fact, between these two camps. Fine. Now, the writer is trying to analyze that this particular, reaction of Pakistan shifting towards China and engaging with China and Russia and forming a axis, how it will have implications on India-Russia relations. So it's saying that it's basically the beginning of the end of the special relationship between the two countries. That means the India and the Russia, and the signs are quite apparent, because for the first time, even Pakistan and Russia do have a military drill. Fine. So for the first time they did it. So the signs are quite apparent. Now, next they are saying, let's see that what are the implications, sorry, what are the implications for India. See, the freezing of US Pakistan relations could potentially have negative implications. Although we can see in the newspapers, and it's been said that this particular move of America is because America is favoring India, and because Pakistan is not acting and reacting on the terror outfits, and that's why America has given such this kind of threat to Pakistan. But there is another side to it, that there can be negative implications for India as well. How? For one, there can be the end of the indirect influence that India has traditionally managed to exert on Pakistan, especially on terror related issues. Because India tried to exert pressure on Pakistan, especially on the issue of terrorism, by this by putting gun on the shoulder of USA. Fine. So obviously there will be end to it. Second thing is that with Pakistan moving away from American camp, there will be ever strong China Pakistan ties. And definitely it's a potential threat to India's external security. Fine. Now, next they are saying, now this India need to prod to make a choice so that there could be a perfect balancing. Fine. And like India needs to find out some sort of ways, with the help of diplomatic and acumen and strategic efforts and long term thinking needs to be done in order to balance out all these activities. Fine. Next, they're saying last May that a sharper geopolitical competition in the region would also adversely impact the overall subsystemic stability in the region. See, if there are strong fault lines emerging in the, especially in the South Asia region, and India has a lot of stakes, not means in Middle East, in South Asia as well as in Southeast Asia. We have our investments regarding infrastructural development, regarding market access. So these fault lines are definitely going to impact the Indian interest as well. So unlike China and USA, India, as I said earlier, India is deeply invested in stability in South Asia, and so India needs to find a way, with the diplomatic efforts, with the strategic vision and long-term thinking, that how to balance the this particular axis of China, Pakistan, and Russia uh, with its foreign policy. Next article is on India and Israel relations, and the article is trying to say that India and Israel relations have basically re-energized, fine, and kind of reshaped, fine, and with the Israel's president visit, India and Israel have formally normalized the bilateral ties, and the this normalizing of the ties, it began in 1992 when India established diplomatic ties with Israel, and then in 2003 when Ariel Sharon became the first Israeli prime minister to visit India, and then in 2015 President Pranab Mukherjee visited Israel, and in 2017 Mr. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi became the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Israel. Now, recently, the Israel Prime Minister on India visit, they have a joint statement that drew a 25-year timeline, and in order to realize the potential of the strategic partnership. Fine. So the thing is that both these means representatives of state, uh, they have a close personal equation where we can see that both of them enjoying the fly kite, and then Israeli president joining the sorry, not the president, it's the Israeli prime minister, sorry for that, joining Indian Prime Minister in roadshow. So all these things show that how they both have how warm personal equation they're having. Next, on the business front, they are saying that Israeli Prime Minister basically have talked a lot on investing in Indian manufacturing sector, and with the India being large in size and scale, and Israel having sharpness and edge. It's in context of technology and innovation. So both these countries, they complement each other. Now, in the Raisina dialogue, we all know that Raisina dialogue is regarding this connectivity and Asians connectivity. So these two countries, they declared that they have a natural partnership and natural friendship. Fine. Now, the next thing in this is they're saying that, see, uh, the joint statement which was issued, fine, it reaffirmed their support. Both these countries, they're supporting an early resumption of peace talks between Israelis and Prime Minister, where Mr. Modi is expected to visit Ramallah, and as well as Jordan's king, where this Jordan king is the custodian of the holy site in Jerusalem in leading the peace efforts. So this particular thing is an indication that although India is engaging with Israel, but India is not leaving its stand on Israel Palestinian peace talk. Fine. India is committed to that also, despite the fact that India is trying to engage more with the Israel now. Fine. So this is the indication for that. Apart from that, mhm, lastly, the article is saying that India must stick to its strategy of strengthening ties with Israel without damaging its commitments to the West Asian peace process. That means we have to balance both. We have to engage with Israel, but at the same time, we have to be an active partner in the West Asian peace process. Fine. And we have to make our friendships and alignments in such a way that every time we need not to go find out the strength and weakness of a particular country. There should be some cause as well. So this was about this article. Next article is on National Medical Commission bill, and it's like a poor prognosis. Prognosis means it's basically a way, fine, a way into a medical condition, fine, a poor way kind of thing आप कह सकते हो. So the article is saying that the new medical commission bill is unlikely to provide a dynamic new thrust to medical care in India. It's somehow criticizing the National Medical Commission bill, and is also suggesting some measures how to how to formulate a efficient and effective National Medical Commission, replacing the Medical Council of India at present what we have. So the writer is saying that Medical Council of India should be reformed. Either it should be reformed or it should be replaced. Fine. And the National Medical Commission bill, it should be clear, direct and workable. Fine. And the important thing in this article is that National Medical Commission should work as only a regulatory body. Its work should be limited to regulation and not policy formulation, because policy formulation is the work of the legislatures, not the bureaucrats. Fine. Now, the fundamental flaw in the proposed medical commission is the lack of clarity on its functions. Means there is ambiguity regarding that who will perform what functions. Fine. There is a phrase lay down policy which is repeatedly used in this bill, and where commission is expected to assess the requirements in healthcare, including human resources. The thing is that this National Medical Commission bill, it lays down certain functions of the commission, that the commission needs to assess that how much personnel is required in healthcare and all. So the thing is that writer is saying that these kind of complex tasks, because these kind of kind of thing, inquiry regarding that how much personnel is required, what sort of infra is required, so these kind of things need certain sort of inputs, fine, from multiple agencies, and it will all alone cannot be done by commission only. Fine. So the commission should only be expected to monitor and regulate the training of healthcare personnel and maintain professional standards. Now the next is point of integration. Point of integration, what the writer is trying to say, that successive governments in India, they fail to promote scientific medication and integrate the best of indigenous systems into one unified system, led to unhealthy competition among the various streams of medicine in India. The thing is that we are having allopathy, we are having homeopathy, then we have Ayurvedic. So these are different streams of medical, fine, medical field. We have different streams of medical field here, and so the doctors within this field, they are also having certain sort of competition, as we have seen that once suppose you are going to an allopath doctor, he will criticize the homeopath one, and the homeopathic one will criticize the allopathic one, fine. So a kind of competition is there, but what is required, what is actually required is a proper integration of these different medical streams, fine. We need not to label something that this is western or allopathy. We need to like have an integrated system of medical stream, fine, in order to develop our medical this status in of India, fine. Now the next thing in this article is that who should be the members of the commission, fine, because the Medical Council of India was having a limitation that only the members which seek certain economic profits with the power of their means financial power, and with the power of their status, they used to get re-elected again and again, and because of this corruption was there in the Medical Council of India. So this new medical commission bill needs to take care of this also, fine. And so the election process, it should be reformed and replaced, fine. The proposal, however, the writer is applauding this thing, that the proposal to have different sections of people in this council is obviously praiseworthy, where we have medical professionals, we have mostly medical professionals and different people from entire spectrum of society. But the thing is that having all the nominated members in the commission is not at all appreciable, because they will be only yes men and yes women just serving their political masters, fine. Next is regarding medical education, the writer is saying that should private initiative, fine, for this medical education be allowed, means medical education in the private sector should be allowed or not, fine. The thing is that if this medical education in private sector is allowed, then there will be a problem of too many doctors chasing few patients, fine, because obviously a lot of students will get graduated from the private sectors and all, so uh, there will be more supply of doctors but less number of patients who can afford the private treatment, because not all population in India can afford the private sector fees and all. So the things with because of this, too many doctors chasing few patients, the issues like unnecessary investigations and procedures and too little time given to each patient will be there. So the policy should not be left all regarding this policy, that privatization of this medical education should be there, so it should not all alone left on the commission. Now, because in order to next thing is that to start a medical college, what was needed or what is needed up till now is that firstly the state government will issue a certificate, then the Medical Council of India will check that whether the particular institution is having the required infrastructure and facilities or not, and subsequently till the first batch of the medical students it complete its their graduation, their I mean the course, then the Medical Council of till then Medical Council of India, it keep on checking and inspecting the institution every year. But the thing is, sometimes in between, fine, the license of that particular institution, if it's not following the particular protocol and rules, is cancelled. The students are left with no choice but to approach the judiciary, and so obviously a number of litigations and the fate of students is also hanging in between. The thing is that present bill is unlikely to provide a new dynamic thrust to medical care in India, according to this, because there is a provision regarding nomination of candidates. Then we are saying that the commission members will formulate the policy as well, and then there is no clarity on medical education being privatized or not. Fine. So the writer is again saying that policy decisions should be decided by policymakers and not by bureaucrats as by the members of National Medical Commission. Thank you.